Hey guys, welcome to the third and final part of the hero archetype in the Mastermind Content Archetypes Explained series. I'm Richard Oldale, and in this video I will be explaining the esoteric symbolism of the Olympians Ares and Artemis in order to illustrate how you can use these myths to recognize and remember the hero archetype. So here you can learn how to use ancient symbolism as a self-development tool. If you've seen the two previous videos I did on the hero archetype, you may remember this energy gives you the get up and go to transform your life and gives you the courage to confront your fears when the ego is resisted. The hero is essentially a catalyst for change and personal growth, but when it is wounded, you live from a fear-based center and protect your fragile self-image with anger, lust, violence and other unhealthy and destructive qualities that are associated with the hero. So let's look how you can remember the characteristics and traits of the hero in the myths of Artemis and Ares, the feminine and masculine principles that I associate with the hero archetype. First up, let's look at the symbolism of Artemis, the goddess of the crescent moon, the hunt and childbirth or midwifery. So Artemis is described as a maiden that lives and hunts in the mountains with her bow and arrow. As the archer, she helps you to keep your focus when you are in pursuit of your goals. And as the hunter, she keeps hunting dogs which are renowned for alertness, vigilance, bravery, loyalty and trust. And you need all these qualities when you commit yourself to a particular project, pursuit of improving your life or personal development. And self-development is the process of undergoing a personal transformation. And in myth, Artemis is known for transforming mortals into something else. For example, she transforms the hunter's Actaeon into a stag and Rhodopis into a fountain. And a fountain is a symbol of unconscious content, which is the water, coming into contact with the conscious ego, which is the stone of the fountain and is symbolic for concrete beliefs and attitudes. So the role of the hero is to help you to break beyond the false truths that are concrete beliefs held by your conscious personality, the ego. Now, in order for you to develop, grow and thrive, you have to bring down the walls of Jericho, for example, and storm the fortress to get into the castle, which is is symbolic for overpowering the conscious mind through focused concentration, determination, commitment, assertiveness, self-affirming beliefs, a will to overcome, devotion, or whatever quality that belongs to the hero that you need to adopt to overcome the challenge that you are confronted with. Because if your fixed beliefs are rooted in fear, you're more inclined to act on the limiting beliefs that are stored in your subconscious programs as memory, and as you're probably already aware, they don't get you very far. For some people, limiting beliefs and a fear of failure or rejection prevent you from taking relevant action altogether, so you get nowhere at all. Now thus, you need to embrace the qualities of Artemis and her hunting dogs: alertness, vigilance, bravery, loyalty and trust. So why? Well, you have to stay alert and vigilant to recognize that your ego is resisting, and you need to stay loyal to yourself by admitting you have a barrier to overcome. Then you need to be brave enough to confront the challenge in front of you, and you need to trust yourself to get over the hurdle no matter how many attempts it takes you to succeed. The developing hero has a willingness to bounce back from failure. Now this is all part of the process of self-development and self-knowledge, which we also know as self-awareness or enlightenment, the illuminated mind. And Artemis helps to deliver her twin brother Apollo, the sun god, which represents self-awareness. Also with her bow and arrow, Artemis reminds you of the need to stay true to your values and your goals. So you need to focus your attention towards your intention. And when Artemis's energy is strong, you're able to make your own decisions, pursue your goals, and live life on your own terms, just as Artemis does when she asks her father Zeus for 10 wishes. The young Artemis asks to live in the forest and hunt, where she can express herself freely. So I'll break this down for you a little bit more as well, so you can see how the symbolism works. So the bow and arrow are symbols of consciousness. Essentially, the taut string of a bow is the focused mind, and the arrow is an emotion, an intention, or attention that is directed towards an object. The taut string of the bow, or the bow itself, is also the tension that you might feel when you are confronted with a challenge. Now, the forest is a symbol of the unconscious. So essentially Artemis is unconscious content because she's living in the forest. The forest is unconscious, so Artemis is the unconscious content that has the intention to be made manifest in the external world. Because until your intention becomes a reality, it is still unconscious to the ego experience. An idea is not real until it is lived and experienced. I also want to draw this to your attention about the difference between exoteric symbolism and esoteric symbolism, because exoteric symbolism tells us that a bow and arrow represents fertility, knowledge, mastery, destiny, sacrifice, superiority over enemies, the destruction of evil or enemies, and just some other buncombe that all points towards the transcendence of the ego. So how do you transcend the ego? Well, when you feel resistance, such as irrational fears, self-doubt, limiting beliefs, hopelessness, rigidity, hostility, indecision, impatience, etc., you're living from a fear-based centre. And the thoughts and emotions you are experiencing are subconscious programs, the concrete, fixed beliefs I spoke about in relation to the fountain and the castle fortress. Now, when you overcome the thoughts, actions and emotions that are fixed habitual programs your ego responds to, you transcend ego and upgrade your subconscious programs. This is what is known as a quantum leap or a quantum jump. Does that sound familiar? So to take a quantum leap, you have to take on board new information that is surfacing from your subconscious, the forest where wild animals live, which either involves engaging a different experience of focusing the mind to break through the program and see beyond the program. In other words, to look at your problem through a different lens and gain a new perspective which is different from the fixed view that you currently believe. Now, when you do this, you're accessing the superconscious, which is symbolized by the maiden Artemis, a maiden representing an undeveloped aspect of the feminine side of your personality. This is why Artemis is associated with the crescent moon also, the moon in its early stages of development as it moves towards the growth in the fullness of time. So Artemis is the initial insight you get before unconscious content becomes fully conscious to the ego, or it can just be intuition. So the bow and arrow basically remind you to develop emerging beliefs, perceptions, judgments and mindsets or attitudes which give you a new perspective of life. And sometimes that requires you to meditate or concentrate. Meditate is to concentrate on an issue until a solution emerges from the unconscious. But if you can't break through that concrete belief, then be alert and vigilant like the hounds of Artemis, because Normally when you've asked the question, when you're looking for the answer to a problem, they always turn up somehow. You will either hear it, you'll overhear it when somebody's speaking, or you'll have a random conversation with a friend and it comes up in conversation, or you'll be reading through an article and the answer just miraculously appears. Now, also, arrows can only be used to attack, not to defend, but they are destructive forces, and you use the sharp point of the arrows to pierce existing programs and attack your enemies, which are the fixed thoughts, emotions and actions that cause problems in your life. Of course they are enemies. So you eliminate concrete attitudes, beliefs, habits and perceptions by listening to your intuition, a trait associated with female principle, as personified by maidens in mythology, the maiden Artemis firing the arrow of intuition, knowledge which leads to sacrifice, mastery and destiny, as we are told by exoteric sources. So do you see the difference between exoteric symbolism and esoteric symbolism, and the importance to know the difference between the two? And if you want to know more about that, then watch this video, Esoteric Symbolism versus Exoteric Symbolism, by clicking the link in the description below. We see this process of transformation in several of the Artemis myths. For example, Artemis transforms the hunter Action into a stag, after which he is attacked by his own hunting dogs. And the act of dogs killing the stag is symbolic of the psyche's power to overcome fixed attitudes and beliefs, or habitual desires and attachments that prevent you from moving forward and reaching your goals. Now, if you keep running into the same problems, it's because you're generating the same energy by repeating the same habits and actions. And the only way to break those repetitive conflicts and challenges that you encounter is to break the particular habit that creates these challenges in the first place. And this is what the role of the hero is, this energy to focus and a willingness and courage to face the challenges that life presents you, or just to do something different. You need to be able to engage in alternative activities or overcome the fears that are preventing you from moving forward and upgrading your subconscious programs. And as I've said before, Artemis is also recognized as a fertility goddess and the patron of childbirth or midwifery, because she helps to deliver her brother Apollo, the sun god, who represents self-awareness. So you only get to know yourself and your capabilities and your limitations and areas for improvement by facing up to your challenges. But as you well know, confronting your fears and the curveballs that life throws at you can be a battle, which is where Ares enters the frame in relation to the hero, because the Greek god of war gives you the courage, a willingness to act, assertiveness, loyalty, persistence, impetus and the motivation to take relevant action, as opposed to the ego-driven actions prompted by your subconscious programs. However, Ares is the least respected of the 12 Olympians because of his bloodlust and rash decision making. Even his father Zeus detests him. And this is where you can recognise when the hero is wounded, because Ares tends to rush into battle without a plan and is inevitably defeated. This is symbolic for making a mistake and failing because you didn't know what you were doing. And this can be the downfall of people who are dominated by an underdeveloped hero, but still have the confidence to try new things and maybe believe that they can succeed. But oftentimes their hubris and stubbornness gives them a false sense of belief and a false sense of security. And this is a sign that the ego is inflated and needs deflating by the arrows of Artemis, or sometimes the arrows of Apollo. Now, the hero is also sexually permissive, and this energy tends to think through the genitals rather than the heart. Now, this can cause problems when seeking or entering into intimate relationships, because without understanding your emotions and learning to love yourself, you'll struggle to offer a partner the love and affection that they need to feel fulfilled, after which conflicts will arise, which Ares, the war god, loves. He loves conflict. It is only when the unhealthy qualities of the hero are healed that people dominated by the underdeveloped hero can develop the healthy qualities of the lover and mature into the warrior archetype. Now, Ares never married in Greek myth, but he did have numerous affairs which produced offspring, and children are symbolic for the experiences that you create in life, including beliefs, attitudes, and the perceptions that you integrate into your conscious personality. Now, with Aphrodite, Ares fathered 5 children: Phobos, which means fear, and Deimos, which means terror. Now, these children are associated with the wounded qualities of the hero, but the couple also produced some constructive qualities, namely Eros, which is love, Anteros, which is love returned, and Harmonia, which is, of course, harmony. So here we see the constructive qualities of the hero and of Ares, but only once the war god's wounds have been healed by the love and affection of Aphrodite, the feminine principle of the lover archetype, which I will cover in the next round of videos. Now, Ares is tamed through his liaisons with Aphrodite, who teaches him to transform his lust into love. And it's important to understand that lust is not only a sexual energy, as the 4th century theologian and philosopher St. Augustine explains. There is a lust for revenge, which is called rage, a lust for having money, which is called avarice, a lust for victory at all costs, which is called stubbornness, a lust for self-glorification, which is called boastfulness. There are many and varied kinds of lust, some of which are specifically named, others not. For who could easily give a name to the lust for domination, which, as we know from the civil wars, is nevertheless very powerful in the minds of tyrants. So lust is essentially a defensive mechanism the ego uses to protect a poor self-image. And because the wounded hero has such a deep insecurity, lust surfaces in people in a variety of ways, such as vengeance, greed, vainglory, stubbornness, and boastfulness. Now, people don't like people that are like this, and if you know somebody that fits this mold, then please have some sympathy for them, because deep down, underneath the facade that they reveal to the world, is an ingrained fear of failure and rejection, because they were rejected and treated as a failure when they were children. Moreover, the wounded hero takes rejection so badly it can leave them with no sense of hope at all, and that's when the survival programs of the ego kicks in and they become defensive and possibly get angry and even violent. So these wounded heroes need to be given love, affection and acceptance. They need to be given hope. Do you know what one of the most famous universal symbols of hope is? It's the dove, a symbol associated with Aphrodite. The dove is also a common symbol of peace, used to reflect the cooperation at the end of the war and to rejoice the renewal of life. So this is how you can see that we go from the wounded hero to the healed hero through the love and affection of the lover. You see how symbolism works? Okay guys, I'm going to wrap it up there, but I trust that you have been fascinated, enthralled and illuminated by the lesson on esoteric symbolism, Greek myth and the archetypes. And if you do want to know more, then please subscribe to the channel and join the Mastermind Content Facebook group, Self-Development with Symbols, and there's a link in the description below where you can go even deeper. Or if you want to get stuck right in, then Sign up for the Mastermind Content Essential Self-Development Program and work with yours truly to understand which archetypes are causing problems in your life and which archetypes will heal the wounded parts of your personality. I'm Richard Oldale and this is Mastermind Content. Thank you very much for watching to the end, and I shall see you next time. Bye bye.